something and I'm like, shoot, I want to write about that. What was it that I said? So the other thing about when you're looking at a thought, like the most extreme thoughts, like, you know what, this is never going to work. I'm going to have to go back and I'm going to take a crappy job as a, cashier at Save on Foods or something like that forever and ever and ever, right? And wear one of those polyester shirts and stand on an anti-fatigue mat and have wrist braces on and all that stuff, right? So think about the part about worthiness, and how does your worthiness, can you separate your worthiness, your worth as a human, from the actual activities that you do? I had this, I was down, just not completely on a planned basis, but I went to a yoga fundraiser on Saturday evening with my sister-in-law. And where we thought it was downtown was not actually where it was. So we ended up parking in the wrong spot and having quite a long walk through some of the really sad areas of the downtown east side.
Yeah.
And when we got there, she said, I just have such a hard time doing that. It makes me feel so uptight. And I felt uptight too. And then I thought, well, how could I change my thought about it? And I chose to change my thought that even though the outer world of those people is very sad and they have lots of strikes against them and, all of the things that go on in their life that I just can't even comprehend, at their heart, they are human. And by being human, for me, there is that spark of the divine. So if you can, that feeling when you coach somebody and you really connect with their spirit.
Yeah.
Those people has a spirit like that. It just has a different set of clothes on it. So I thought about that, and the walk back to the car went through exactly the same path, and it was a completely different experience. Yes, it was still sad, but there was something where I could see them as potential worthy beings.
Yeah.
And so, can you do something like that around worthiness before you attach your worthiness to the outcome? Like you may have amazing success, and in 5 minutes you're going to have 30 clients in a wait list and it's going to be perfect. More than likely, you'll get some clients. You'll have a little bit of a, stub your toe somewhere. You'll have some growing pains. You'll have some success all mixed in together. And all that outer activity, for me, does not for a moment touch your worth as a human. So see if you can get to that point where you can sort of reframe the concept of worthiness completely separate from the outside outcome and results. See if that helps as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, that's a good idea.
That's all kind of journaling stuff to me. Yes, you could coach it, could coach with somebody. Like sometimes when you're in coach training, after a while, it's really hard to come up with a topic.
Yeah. Yeah. So
it might be good to do that. I think there's a lot of power in the journaling and the uncovering of it for yourself. And when you're journaling, lots of people do the, Evernote thing or whatever. I'm not that Evernote person. I think that there is a lot of additional benefit in the pen and paper. And then even when you're finished with your thoughts, just keep the pen moving so that you're actually using that pen as a bit of a conduit to your subconscious as well. So you might have run out of thoughts around whatever the topic is that you're writing about. And then just as you're just keep the pen moving. You can doodle, you can continue to write the same words over and over again that are in your head, and then something else will come up. And it's a powerful thing to be able to see the inside of your mind and how it works.
Okay.
That's
a good idea. Yeah, that does.
Okay. So now talk to me about what's overwhelming. Overwhelmed with details. Tell me what's
Yeah. I think the biggest issue is that I don't understand the process of how, and I guess it may be more so like the registration and financing, invoicing, what the flow is from one to the other, and how all the systems work together in order to make that happen. Like how the scheduling, like Acuity works with Quicken, that works with PayPal or Square. Like I don't really understand that process, and so I'm having a really hard time figuring out what works best for me because I don't understand the process. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
So, and the reason for my question was twofold. Like sometimes we get overwhelmed because it's your inner critic just doing a number on your head, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes it's the way that I taught. Maybe it wasn't a consistent approach. Maybe it wasn't sequential enough. So I'm kind of asking from both standpoints. So let's just talk it through. I'll tell you how I see it. And actually, just before I talk it through with you, I just want you to know that I changed the order of what we're doing. I did it late yesterday afternoon because I know that you're working on the 30 days, 30 sessions thing. And I looked at what we were going to do, and what we weren't going to talk about sample sessions for like another 4 weeks. And I'm like, you need to have your sample session buttoned down to do the 30 sessions thing and get your confidence. So we're talking about sample sessions today and booking,
awesome.
that kind of stuff.
That's great.
And I looked at it and I was like, well, I could send you an email, but honestly, that's what I'm doing because I just can't see how it didn't work. Anyway. Okay. So let's talk about the flow. I'll kind of tell you sort of the how it works. And then like from end to end. And then you tell me if there's a place that doesn't make sense. And we're recording now as well. So that's a good thing. And maybe I need to create a little process map about where are we going? You know, like how are we getting there? And so I'm kind of talking that through. So you meet somebody. Let's start from the very beginning, like it's a stranger that you meet at the airport. And it's actually happened to me that I've sat in that Starbucks in the international area in the airport, and somebody sat down beside me and I chatted with them and they became a client. Okay, it's the weirdest thing, but it happens because I was in the right space to talk to them. And there's something very magnetic about when you know exactly what your path is, people find you. So you write a process about that, but that's the way it works. So meet stranger, have a little conversation, and at some point you say, so would you be interested in trying it out? Would you be interested in having whatever your lingo is, a complimentary call, a clarity call, a discovery call, a sample session? Mainly because it's really challenging to explain in detail what coaching is to you. And that way you can get a little taste of how it works. And then you'll know more. And then you can decide if we want to work together. So they say yes. And so what you do at that point, they may say yes right then. They'd like to have a sample call. Then I would pull out my little Acuity on my phone and book a time with them. Okay. If they say, I'm not sure, send me a note, then they get a link. And that link allows them, just like you've done in the past, click on the link, they enter their name, they see what dates and times are available in their time zone, they select one and choose that one and say, yeah, make that my appointment. Then they get an email confirming their appointment. At the same time, Acuity sends an email to you saying somebody's booked an appointment. So you know that your calendar that's your calendar.
Yep.
Life goes on for a couple of days. Acuity sends a reminder note 24 hours before your actual call. I set it up for 24 hours because it's a good enough time. And you don't get a reminder, but your client does get a reminder. That allows them to go, oh, shoot, I forgot, and actually show up. That reminds them of the time, so they don't show up late. that also reminds them that if they need to reschedule, they need to do that.
Yeah.
So that part works. Now you have your sample session and you work together, you have a conversation, and then you basically say, do you want to work together? The simple path is they say, yes, let's do it. In that situation, I recommend booking their first session right then and there while they're excited. They want to get going. Usually once people have that, like, I really want to do this, they don't want to wait, right? So make it easy. Book that session with them. Again, it's on your phone.
Yep.
Got your Acuity there. You can book the session right for them. And it sends same reminders. Again, tells you, tells them, blah, blah, blah. So let's see, where am I at now? At that point, you're going to send them an invoice, however you do it, through Quicken,
yep,
PayPal. So then you're going to go home, you're going to send them an invoice, and they're going to pay it. When they pay it, then you send them your welcome paperwork.
Okay.
The welcome paperwork is like the questionnaire and your agreement, your coaching agreement, so that they, you know, they feel a little bit more solid. They already have their appointment booked at that time. I don't like to give too much stuff at one point because it's confusing, and then people get confused and they get overwhelmed and then they get scared. Then they go, oh my God, there's so much. Will I ever be able to do this? If it's all overwhelming, maybe coaching isn't for me. So where am I at now? Welcome. You've got your first appointment booked, your invoice is sent and paid, and now you send your welcome paperwork, and you ask them to return the paperwork 24 hours before your call. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't, right?
Yeah.
Assume that they do. So then they send it to you. You get a chance to countersign that agreement so that they get a copy, and you get a chance to review their questionnaire so that you kind of have an idea about where to start with them. Okay.
Okay.
So
that makes.
Which part does that feel okay? Is there something that feels confusing in this part? Because this is now you've essentially gotten to your first coaching call.
Yeah. I think the biggest amount of confusing was around like this, like using the scheduler, the invoicing, and like the sort of the tracking of the invoice. Like it was mainly, and using those like using the programs, whether it's Quicken, the scheduling software, and how if they work together or don't, or like what the flow is. So I was confused about what came next and how. But that makes a lot of sense. That taking a higher view makes more sense to me now.
Okay.
But I'm out of the weeds.
There is a way of billing through Acuity. I haven't done that because I just didn't. No particular reason. I have a weird aversion to putting all my eggs in one basket.
Yeah.
Because if something doesn't go well with that program, then I need to make big changes. Everything didn't go well. And so, but if something doesn't quite go well with Acuity and I need to change to another calendar software, my invoicing is still intact. I don't need to go, oh my God, I want to cancel that account, who's paid, who hasn't, and then try and wait until they're all paid before I cancel and all that stuff. So that's part of I just like to not if I put too much into one basket, it makes me much more vulnerable from a business standpoint, and I'm a real risk-averse business kind of person.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And then in Acuity, what level of account do you have that you're currently using? I know they have the sort of 3 levels, I think.
Yeah.
Which one?
I use the middle level, but I thought that today, and I think we'll have time to do it, that we could actually go on and kind of get you set up.
Because I actually am set up. So you have like a free account with them.
Oh, good.
So
okay.
I put everything in, and it's like at the first level, like entrepreneur or whatever.
Yeah.
But I wasn't sure what the next. So it's already set up with like my logos and everything, and times and prices.
Yeah.
But I wasn't sure which one was the best one, and I don't want to spend more than I need to until I have a bit more of a revenue stream. And yeah.
I use the middle one because it's inexpensive. I can't remember why I selected that, but I did years ago, and I've just been using it. I just keep renewing it.
Okay.
There is also a way to use Acuity, and I haven't automated it yet just because I've been busy doing other things, to actually, when they set up that first appointment, to actually send the welcome paperwork.
Oh.
So you could also, as they schedule an appointment, have them fill in some questions to kind of like a coaching prep form. I use that with some people where they fill out like a one-page kind of, here's what I did this past week, here's my wins, here's what I would have preferred to have done, here's the things that didn't work at all, and here's what I want to use my session for. So they have that as well. I know people who have done it, like some of my clients have done it. I decided not to because it feels like a barrier. That's the only way I can describe it. If you have to jump through hoops to schedule the appointment, your phone just rang, or you're just grabbing a quick cup of coffee and the barista's just called your name and now the coffee is ready for you, right? And it's like, oh, okay, well, I'll do it after. And it creates a barrier for them to get that appointment scheduled.
Yeah.
And I don't like to send too much stuff at one time. I don't want to, if somebody says, yeah, I want to coach with you, and then I send them my invoice and they never pay it, I'm not coaching with them. So why am I sending them my contract to tell them the terms of the agreement? Why am I asking them to fill in paperwork before they've actually fully committed?
Yeah.
I don't want to waste their time. Like they may have said, yeah, in the moment, and then they go home and they realize, my God, my car needs a $5,000 repair bill. And maybe they're a little embarrassed to say, I can't do this right now. I don't want to add more obligation on them. I'd rather keep that communication a little bit smoother and, the next gentle step, the next gentle step, the next gentle step. I don't know if you remember how you felt dialing into the first coaching call that we had. I just had a new person start last week, and she was visibly terrified to talk to me.
Yeah.
And within 15 minutes, she had just calmed down. But, do I really want to make her even more scared to come on the phone and talk to me?
Yeah.
No.
Because it is taking because that first appointment, you're taking a leap into the unknown, and it can be I remember being very nervous. I was excited, but I was quite nervous about because I really didn't know what it was going to be.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's my philosophy about it.
Yeah.
So does that help you on the overwhelm part?
Yeah. Yeah,
okay.
because it's much more big picture. So now I can see it. Now I can see where I need to plug in my own process.
Okay.
That's because once I get that, then I can just I don't have to think about it as much. Because if I'm marred in the details, that's when I just don't do stuff and stuff doesn't get done. And confusion is also not good for me. Never mind for the client, me either.
Yeah. No kidding, right? And you want to feel good when they start with you too. You want to feel like, yeah, I got this. Right? The first couple of times it'll be a little glitchy, like, oh my God, what if I forgot how to ask a question? What if they talk and I have no idea what to say? All of that stuff, right? You'll have enough of that. All right. Any other questions before you said you had a list of questions?
Yeah, I said, so we talked about that. Oh, and I was talking about, you spoke about last time about daily tracking. So I got over that and I was still a bit confused. I was wondering if you could explain that again for me.
Okay. What was it in relation to? Was it into your 30 sessions in 30 days?
I think it was based on, I was going up to the exercises that you do about your tracking. So you spoke about that you keep track of your email list. You can use
my dashboard. It's my dashboard.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So my dashboard is It starts as a daily handwritten thing. I have one page here. I'll show you an ancient one. Okay. It's got one page for the month. I know this looks crazy. Okay, this looks crazy, but this is one of my old ones because I'm getting my new day timer ready to go. And so at the start, I have, that's basically my sales register, my sales journal. So it's, here's my income, here's my email list numbers, and these are the different places that I accumulate people from. And then every time somebody buys something, I write it down. Fiverr. You know, the first thing here says Fiverr, $46.39. The second thing says $7 times 1.3 because I have a little book that I sell, but it's US funds. And then the next one says 6 times 1.3. And then I've got 157 times 1.3 and 900, you know, like it just kind of, I keep it written. So you get this very, very mucky every day, every time somebody buys something, I write it in. And then at the end of the month, because I like to track what do I do in one-on-one coaching, what do I do in my little passive income, what do I do in my little, what was the other thing that I had? Like my book sales and stuff like that. And so then I just go through and I look at my little list here and I just add it up and I say, okay, one-on-one coaching was this much in the month of February. Book sales was this much in the month of February. And then so then I know where I'm at. I know how much money I've made this month to date. I know if I'm behind or ahead for what I'm expecting. And then at the end, I know, not only do I know that I made money, but I know where it came from. So I wrote down the amount and then where it came from, you know, one-on-one coaching or my Fiverr thing that I was doing at the time or my book sale or whatever. So then I can see, like in your case, one-on-one coaching versus group coaching, right? Or maybe you offer like a laser coaching call, you know, like a 90-minute coaching call. You might want to track that separately because that 90-minute call could be maintenance for an existing client, or it could be essentially a paid, very large sample session.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. And then my email list, same thing. I go into my MailChimp and I go, how many people do I have on this list? And I write it down. Oh, that one's up by 2. That one's up by 5. That one I lost. People was unsubscribed. They didn't like what I sent them. Oh, well. Does that make sense?
Yep, that makes sense. Okay. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's really good. So yeah, that was it for questions.
Okay. So let's talk about, let me share. I'm going to share here. I'm going to see if I can make it slideshow. I should be able to from beginning. There we go. Good. Okay, so what we're going to talk about today is a sample session. And let's see, let's just get in here. So here's how we're going to cover it. We're going to say, what is a sample session? How to invite people to a sample session. Make it easy for your potential clients to book. That's acuity, essentially. And now I won't do a demo. I just didn't know if it was needed or not. And how to design and deliver your own powerful sample session. And how to practice effectively. Got to practice. Okay. So what is a sample session? This is my definition. So it's a conversation where you speak with a potential client with the intent to sign them up as a paying client. You may do sample sessions with people who are going to be volunteer, but I'm not really considering those sample sessions. The purpose of, there's always room for volunteer coaching and pro bono coaching, but the purpose of having a business is to make money and to come to this point where you can make money doing something that has an impact, that is meaningful to you, that's what we're really trying to achieve, right?
Mm-hmm.
So here are all of the other things that I've heard sample sessions called. The coaching industry has no standard. And so you get to choose whichever one of these things speaks to you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I have used complimentary call. I have used clarity call. I have used breakthrough session. I have used strategy session. That's it. Yeah. They don't seem to make any difference what I call them, as long as people understand what it is. Okay. Where you might find this useful is as you're looking at other coaches and you're seeing what they've got on their websites and how they do their Instagram and stuff. You may find another one that really resonates nicely for you.
Mm-hmm.
So here's where I differ from many people. A sample session is not a free coaching call.
Mm-hmm.
And many coaching schools suggest that schools and schools of thought suggest that you have a coaching session for free with somebody and you coach them, and then they can see how powerful coaching is, and then you sign them up as a client. And I don't agree. I just don't agree with that at all. Mm-hmm. Here's why. I think it devalues the service. And for me, the biggest thing is in 10 minutes, you can completely change somebody's life. They can go from feeling overwhelmed to like, I got this. I know exactly what to do. And they think that you've solved their problem. So they don't need you.
Yeah.
Right? You've just relieved that tension. Seth Godin uses this term about, tension. Introducing tension into the sales process, where somebody has to either say yes or no. And it doesn't matter what they say, it's that they do something to relieve the tension. So if in a sample session, you coach somebody for 10 minutes and they go, oh my God, I was so worried about my teenager and I just didn't know what to do, but now I know. Well, you've relieved the tension for them. Mm-hmm. The other reason that doesn't work, like from a business standpoint, it's not good business. Okay. Mm-hmm. And the other reason that it doesn't work is that you know that even though they can have a major breakthrough in 10 minutes, every piece of their life is interconnected. So while they think that they feel so much better and they've got the solution and that everything's going to be roses and sunshine, you know that it takes a lot more than 10 minutes to transform a life. Mm-hmm. It takes learning, looking at something in a different way a few times sometimes, because we're creatures of habit. Practicing in an uncomfortable way, continued awareness, changing the way you approach things, changing your thought patterns, changing how you define what's true. You can't do that in 10 minutes. So you've given them the quick solution. They feel like they've got it solved, but you in your heart know that you need to do a lot more than just 10 minutes of coaching to have a long-ranging impact on somebody. Okay. So that's the other reason, is that in the end, you haven't really served them well. Mm-hmm. The other thing is that coaching is just a weird profession. Other professionals don't work for free. So why should coaches? Right?
Like, it is true.
If you go to a therapist, they'll have a free consultation so that you can kind of get to know them a little bit, chat a little bit about how they work and what their approach is. But they don't do a first therapy session for you for free and then say, do you want to come back? Yeah, are you kidding? Think about your accountant or your lawyer or, any professional. They don't do that. They will have a conversation with you, but they're not going to work for free.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
So I don't know why my opinion on this is a little at odds with the industry, but that's the way it is. So for me, big difference between giving your service away for free and helping them see the problem and understand how you can help. A lot of it is identifying that gap of where they are right now and where they could be, and the tension that you can create in them really seeing how that gap impacts their life, and that there's hope for them to move towards that solution. That's what sells your services. They will think you are the solution to their problem. You know that coaching is a skill. It's a different thing entirely. But it doesn't matter what you think. It matters what they think, right? If they think you're going to solve their problem, good on them. You're still going to sit there and ask some coaching questions and help them figure it out for themselves. What they won't know that until they're in the midst of it, right? So the point of this sample session is you show them what is possible, and then you invite them to work with you.
That makes sense.
Okay. So inviting people, what do you do? So there is a whole mindset around inviting and requesting and asking. And as the coach and as the business person, it's up to you to invite them. It's not up to them to go, oh, I think you could help me. How could you help me? It's up to you to invite them. And I love this metaphor. I probably have shared it with you before. I can't even remember where I heard it, but I just loved it. Is that you are a waiter at a banquet, a lovely catered banquet, and you have one of those huge trays with delicious hors d'oeuvres on it. You know that they're top quality. You know that they are, organic and works of art in and of themselves, right? And you walk around as that waiter and you offer people smoked salmon on, whatever. Would you like one of these most delicious appetizers? And some people will say, oh yeah, and they'll try it. And they'll come back and get more. There's your people that want to be your clients, right? But then there's going to be some people that say, no thanks. I don't like salmon. Or no thanks. Or ew. Yeah. You need to offer. They get to choose how to receive it. You don't know the people that say no thanks if it's that they are just not interested right now, and like they're just keeping their head above water. They just can't possibly take on one more thing. You don't know if they just don't want to, right? You don't know what the reason is that it's no thanks, but you'll never find out if it's a yes please or a no thanks if you don't invite them, if you don't offer. And you know that coaching is valuable, and you know the change that it can have for somebody. Some people are not ready to make that change right now, but you can offer it, the most delicious thing on that platter, to them in a spirit of openness, knowing that you're offering something wonderful, and then they get to choose what to do. So your responsibility is to have something wonderful, a great sample session, a deep understanding of your mission, a coaching package that really solves people, and then put it on the platter and invite. And the more you invite, the more people will say, oh, I'll give that a try. If you don't ever show it to anybody, nobody's going to say, I'll give it a try. Right?
Yep.
So always be asking. So who do you invite? Qualified prospects. And a qualified prospect, you've got this already. You've got this information, but I just wanted you to see it, right? Your qualified prospects are that yellow triangle. They are the intersection of your ideal client that you love to work with. Problems or goals or results that you can help them achieve. And they can pay for your services. Now, there's a difference between can and will and a difference between can't, you know. And so that's the question of, you know, I always am very strong about volunteer coaching. So I've got my organizations that I donate my time to, because I know then that if I run into somebody that's doing a sample session with me and they can't pay for my services, I'm already giving back to the community, and that's fine. I mean, there's lots of places that they can get help. For new coaches, for instance, a new coach who doesn't want to hire me as a coach to help them build their business, they can go and look at all my free reports. They can look at my blogs. They can look at my videos. There's all kinds of resources there for them. Now, they're not getting the hand-holding. They're not getting the personal attention. But there's lots that I've made available for people so that I know that there's help for people who just can't pay right now. Right?
Yeah.
So ideal client with the niche and can pay for your services. Those are the people you're looking for. You can use that as a sort of as a filter method too, right? Let me just, let's see if I can go back here. How do I get back? Go back, previous. So I realized that I didn't kind of make that clear, is you can use this as a filter method. So you can decide that, use that as a decisioning point. Yes, this person is kind of close to my ideal client, the kind of people I like to work with. Yes, they do have issues that I can support. Yes, they could possibly pay for my services. And so do I invite them to a sample session or not? Well, they have issues that I can support, but they're not my kind of people. The answer is no, right? They're my kind of people, but I can't deal with those kinds of massive issues. That's not my thing. Maybe that's a therapy thing. Or I'm not a relationship coach. I hate coaching people on their partnerships, their marriages, finding the significant love of their life. I hate that. And I made the mistake of coaching people for this, and I hated it. Never again. Right? I liked the people, but I was like, oh, I hate this topic. I don't want to coach on this topic. Yeah. Right? So there's are these qualified prospects? You can ask yourself these questions. Do I like these kind of people? Yeah. Do they have issues that I kind of like to deal with? Yeah. Okay, right? And so if any of those are no, well, then you get to decide.
Yeah.
You can also decide, because it's all about marketing, right? I'd like this kind of person. They could afford to pay. I don't know. Those issues I could help with, but I don't know if I want to. And then you get to choose before you decide if they're a qualified prospect or not.
Yeah.
Right? Your choice. All right. So this is this thing of inviting and knowing in your heart the value that coaching brings, and knowing that people do the best that they can at any moment in time with what they have. Lots of the challenges or that they might be experiencing, or the goals that they want to achieve, if they could have done it on their own, they would have. So when you know the value of coaching and you know that you can help someone, there is a different feeling of, I will say the word, this isn't the right word. The word that comes to mind is obligation, which isn't the right word, but drive maybe to actually invite people to a sample session. You know you can help them. Right?
Yeah.
It's very different than, oh, got to sell them something. I know I could help this person. Gosh. And I know that they want the help. They've got a challenge that I can help them with. Who the heck am I to not offer them a sample session, not offer them one of my delicious appetizers? I know that even after a sample session, if there are no thanks, I don't, want to work with you going forward, I know that they've gotten value that they wouldn't have gotten. So there's still a feeling of it being a gift. And that, coming from that mindset, really changes your approach. And people feel that, you know. So places where you can find people. Anywhere, essentially, that your ideal client spends time. Online, offline, social events that you go to, like I said, the airport, right? You know, anywhere.
Yeah.
Well,
And how do you, sorry, so that's the question. How do you stop yourself from getting in a mindset that you're like hunting for people? Do you know, but like, you know, sometimes you go to networking events and people are like looking over your head.
Yeah.
Not that I don't do that, but how do you not, could it be so easy to get that way? Like you're hunting like a hunter-gatherer?
Yeah. Yeah. You know, that's a place where it's kind of having an abundance mindset. You know, that place where you know that there's enough clients for you. And you know that there's enough clients for you because, how do I describe this? You know the kind of person. You probably know some people that are sort of like that. You know the kinds of challenges that you help people with. And knowing that people are problem solvers, right? Like we're always scanning, looking for that solution for our problem, which means they're looking for you. So there's enough people, you've done your market research, they're actually looking for you. So again, it's this thing of a different feeling of they're looking for me. I just got to show up and be myself, be authentic, be visible, you know. And so how do you avoid that feeling of desperation, of looking? So abundance mindset is one thing. Making it a game helps too. I wonder how many sample sessions I could, you know, schedule today. I know that these people are looking for me. I just have to show up and talk in a friendly way to people that I meet, and know that in the long run, it will be okay. And there's something there about your time window. If you give yourself ample time to achieve your number of clients, it kind of reduces that pressure. So
yeah, that makes sense.
When you think about, I want 10 clients or whatever your number happens to be at the moment, because your number will change, right? I want 10 clients. I've only got 8. I need 2. I need 2. I need 2. I need 2. Compared to, well, I want 10 clients, but I want 10 clients on an ongoing basis. And I'm willing to know that sometimes it might take me 2 months or 3 months to find all 10 of those clients, because I want the right clients.
Yeah.
Because when I get the right clients, they're the ones that refer me to other people. So there's something about, there's enough to go around, having an adequate time frame, an ample time frame, and enough to go around, ample time frame, and knowing that they're looking for you.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. And you may even want to say a little, basically a little prayer before you head out to that networking event. You know, I know there's people out there looking for me. Let me be true to myself so I can show up fully for them and put them in my path. Because, you know, you meet people in the weirdest places, right?
Airports.
Airports, right?
Yeah.
Airports is one. washrooms, right? The bay. Okay, don't ask, but the bay. It's because of my weird, I don't know if you know that I have this weird savant ability. I can be shopping at the bay. It's the bay only, it seems, these days.
Okay.
Wearing my coat and my purse and my boots, carrying the stuff that I'm interested in buying, and people come up to me and ask me for help. I don't look like I work there. I'm wearing my coat zipped up, right? Where would I find the washroom? I'm looking at them. Why are you talking to me? But
well, you know.
Right? It's just the way it is. So who knows? You've got that place, your version of the bay, where you just show up and they're like, you could help me. I have a problem. Help me.
Right? Yeah.
Does that help you?
Yeah, that's really helpful. Yeah, that's really helpful.
It used to happen when I had a stroller as well. Right? And a baby bag, right? Like,
yeah.
I'm looking for a size 10. Huh?
Like what?
The weirdest questions. All right. How many sample sessions do you need to do? So it's a math exercise. My estimate for new coaches is 5 sample sessions gets you 1 paying client. So you got to do the math. Here's my little table. If you want 2 clients, plan on doing 10 sample sessions.
Okay.
You want to do 5 clients, plan on doing 25. So all depends on your goal. Multiply your goal by 5 and track. I've done 5 sample sessions and I've got 2 clients. Interesting. And I do 5 more sample sessions and I add 1 client. Oh, now my rate is 3 clients for 10 sessions. And now I do another 5 sessions and nobody signs up with me. Was I actually talking to qualified prospects? Or was I talking to people who I knew those weren't my people? Have I lost trust in myself? So this thing about the numbers is so helpful because pretty soon you're going to know how many sample sessions you need to do on average to sign a client, and your number will change. My experience is the truer you can be to yourself in inviting people, and the most real you can be when you show up at that sample session, the better your signing rates. Because people, more than anything, want to be able to be themselves. They want to be accepted for who they are. They want to be seen for who they are. They want to know that it's okay to be themselves. And when you show up and go, oh, just a sec, I can't quite think of the word. Just a minute. Oh, here's the word. They relate to you because it's like, well, you're not trying to be perfect.
Yeah.
You're trying to be helpful. There's a big difference between perfect and helpful.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Yeah, like think back again to maybe our first coaching call. More than likely, because I tried to do this with everybody, because I know that it can be really nerve-wracking for new people coming into coaching. I probably said to you, listen, and one of the things is when I coach with you, I spend a lot of time doing this. And I want you to know that when I'm doing this, I'm actually listening harder to you. You know, and I say, it's because I think when I'm looking over here, I can hear.
Yeah, I remember you saying that.
Right? And I mean, you never go to a therapist and the therapist says, oh, and by the way, if I'm staring at the ceiling, I'm really listening to you. Like, they don't say that, right?
Yeah.
But you got to make sure that it's true. You know, and they'll, after the first couple of times that you ask them a weird question, like in my case, I'll ask them a weird question while I'm doing this. Then they're like, oh, she really did hear me. So told them, then demonstrated it being real so that I'm fully in service of them. Okay. So track your results. Be the truest to yourself. And know that, you know, like that 5 to 1 is a great place for you to start. Who knows?
Mhm.
Who knows what your results will be?
Yeah.
Lots can happen.
Mhm.
So you get to decide how many clients you want and then multiply that number by 5 and
Mhm.
begin scheduling your calls. Now, I know you're
Yes.
doing the 30 days, 30 sessions thing,
Yeah.
which is great. You also know that I've told you that you, even if you sign 4 clients after the first 10 days, don't stop. Keep going.
Yeah.
Keep going. You want the better start you can make, the better your business will flow.
Mhm.
And anytime somebody's having, like maybe they had a start and then you've got people that they're kind of done, like they've achieved what they wanted to achieve. They're feeling so much better. They don't need coaching anymore. And so if there's a time when your business is feeling kind of like, well, I had 10 people and now I'm down to 5. Yeah. What am I going to do? I wanted 10. Do your 30 days, 30 sessions thing anytime,
Mhm.
jump back on that challenge.
Mhm.
So making it easy to book a sample session. So we've kind of talked about this. Acuity scheduling. Do you want to have a bio break? It's almost 10 o'clock.
Yeah. Can we have a quick little break? I'm just going to run to the washroom.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I'm going to pause here and stop video.
Okay.
Hi.
Hello.
There we go. Okay. Okay, so we've had a lot of this discussion. Let's just sort of run through this. Um, you know what to do about acuity scheduling, all the whys, the wherefores, all that stuff. Let's get back here. Okay. Booking process. We've talked about that.
Yeah.
Okay. Just a couple of things. If you're looking at tweaking the standard email confirmation that goes out when somebody books an appointment, you could use something like this as a sample. Reword it so that it's, you know, your words, your way. And then again, rewording the reminder notice if you choose as well.
Okay.
Okay. So online scheduler just saves you so much time. So it allows them to book a session independently and you can get an update. It automatically is set up to show what times you're available. There's a lot of new coaches that end up coaching 7 days a week, like 1 hour here and 2 hours on Sunday, and then nothing until Thursday. And that's just a recipe for disaster. So it keeps your calendar up to the minute. I like that it automatically sends these 2 different notes that just cuts down on your no-shows and your late shows. I like also, and I encourage people to reschedule their own calls. So if you realize that Tuesday's not going to work, then all they got to do is go on and reschedule. This makes it easy, right? You can use it to automatically send your welcome package if you choose, and to sending your coaching prep form. And that's the thing, you know, that people would fill in, like a 1-pager that somebody would fill in to come ready to coach. I use this in more specifically with the shorter coaching calls. Like some clients that I work with, we do 30-minute calls. So I let, you know, I just sort of give that to them. And then if they choose to use it, then they go ahead. I also offer it to other people. Most people don't use it. Just the people that I work with.
Yeah.
There's one more thing here. Just a sec. Oh, and I can't remember if I have this later in the deck or not. Add the link to your calendar to your email signature. I think my wording is here we go. This is what I've got. So I've added it as a PS to my email signature to remind people to book. Ready to book your first or next coaching call? Click here. Now, in your case, because you're wanting to get lots of people booking sample sessions, you could add it to your email signature. Just say, curious more about coaching? Book a 30-minute free clarity call. Here. Okay. And where this saves time, I just did this relatively recently, maybe a month or 2 ago, is that a lot of my clients, especially the ones that have been coaching with me for quite some time, and then maybe they only want to coach like every month or every 3 weeks, they'll email me and say, oh, I want to have a call with you. Could you send me the link to your calendar again? Well, if it's on every one of my emails, then it saves them time. And usually once they get to that point where they want to have a call again, it's because they've already been thinking about it for a while. And I want them to be able to get the support as early as they want it. So that's a couple of reasons that I did it that way. So where do you do a sample session? This is your choice. Depends on where the people are and your timing as well. So a great way to do a sample session is in person. It is, you know, you can create a connection with somebody so much more quickly, but choose your places. Libraries have great little seating areas where you can have a quiet, confidential conversation. So if you're not sure, scope out the libraries around your home. You may find that one is better than another. I know that the one closest to my home, there's actually a little, almost like a weird private seating area with a couch and a coffee table. And it is private enough that you can have a confidential conversation there.
Okay.
Coffee shops also. You have to be careful in coffee shops to get there early enough to get a decent seat is one thing. And also not have so much background noise that you can't actually hear the person or they can't hear you.
Yeah.
And then if you're at one of the ones where you're going to sit, most of the time you're sitting at a bar, it's really hard to have a confidential conversation and people don't really relax as well. But in the springtime, when you can sit outside or something like that, works great.
Okay.
Okay. I've never done it, but I know some people even go for a casual walk, so they'll do a sample session while they're walking. And that's kind of a neat idea too. Depends on your style. I'll tell you when I would use something like that, just as an idea, is some coaches, and I love this, that there's so much variety and so much available. There's one woman that I used to coach, and she is a real outdoors woman. And she actually wanted to coach while she was hiking. So her clients would go on a hike with her and have like an hour hike or a 2-hour hike and kind of coach while they're walking. And it was a much more sort of relaxed approach because sometimes you can talk and sometimes you can't. Sometimes you're giving somebody a chance to think, right? And being out in nature and doing that added a really interesting component to it. I've never done it, but I loved the idea. So if somebody wants to do that kind of coaching, then it kind of makes sense that you go for a walk at a local trail somewhere. Because the people that would be your ideal clients are people who want to be outdoors. So that just kind of gives you ideas. Video conference is the second easiest way. The good thing is it takes less time for you. The potential client can sign on from anywhere. If they're at work and they've got a phone booth that they can pop into, or if they're in their car or whatever. So that gives flexibility that way. You don't have to travel to and from the location, which means a little bit less time doing the sample session. You get enough of the face-to-face. Where it's a little dicey is somebody who is not that comfortable with technology. So depending on your ideal clients, if they're really nervous about, you want me to download an app and then click on a link, and then how will I know that it's safe and all of that? The other way is by phone. Everything works. It's what's your choice for the way that you like to run your business. Like, say, for instance, a year from now, if you have a little babe and your client base is becoming, young moms going back to the workforce or something like that, or young moms wanting to somehow keep their family life vibrant while they're working, then like a stroller walking coaching session is awesome. Right? You got to watch your market and yourself and see how you like to do it. Okay. So lots of ideas for you. Okay. How to do a powerful sample session. Do not freak when you see this 9-step process with my lines that go in the wrong direction. Okay. I think it's better to talk about it. Because if you look at it now, 1 to 3, 3 goes to 6 instead of 4. Okay, this is not as daunting as it looks, but I want to break it down because I think it works better. So to start out with, you get comfortable. You want to know about their challenges. This is where you're beginning to define that gap, right? What are their challenges? Understand how those challenges impact their life. And then what could life be like if they've reached that goal or they've solved that challenge? And then let them be, like number 5 is let them kind of really be in that place of really seeing that gap and what's possible. Then you talk about coaching, how it can help, and how they can work with you. That's describing your coaching package. Right? Okay. And then you say, so how does that sound?
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's all you say. And then you be quiet. And then you have, this is in a sales conversation, this is where they come up with objections. And then you combat the objections. That's the sales training. How this, my version of this works is if they have things that they're not sure about, if they feel a little bit confused, if they're not sure if it will work for them, they want to talk about it. So now that same, you see, from 1 to 7, you're being collaborative, you're being coach-like, you're being kind, you're holding space for them. So don't change gears when you get to number 8. If they say, well, I'm not really sure if that's going to work, or I don't know if I could do that, or, oh, I don't think I can afford that. You're still coach-like and collaborative and kind and compassionate, and you're still having a discussion. You're not, it's not a no, it's I need more information. And then once you've gotten to the end of that part of the conversation, you can say, so what you can say, when would you like to begin? Or, so how does that sound? Would you, is this something that you'd like to try? So the tone throughout the conversation is the same tone. Lots of people will say, yeah, that sounds great. Let's do this. Some people will say, this isn't for me. Some people will say, maybe, but I want, now fill in the blank. I want to speak to my husband. I'm not sure if it'll work for me. I don't know if I can afford it. The time isn't right for me right now. I've got a lot on the go. I'd like to wait until my health is better. So you're going to get people in all of those kinds of answers. If they say yes, book them now, help them get started, help them move forward now. If they say, no thanks, not for me, say, great. You can ask them, who do you know that this might be good for? Okay, they've experienced a conversation. They may be thinking, my God, this is, this would be perfect for my sister. Doesn't hurt to ask. And you've maintained the same tone, coach-like, kind, professional, supportive throughout. So they know that you're not going to turn around and try and twist their arm. And that means that they could refer somebody else to you, and they can trust that you will treat them the same way.
Yeah, that makes sense.
The bigger percentage of people say maybe or not yet. And what you need to do is you need to keep following up with them. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a couple of slides. Okay. So here's, let me go through this. I've got a slide for each of these steps, but I wanted you to sort of get the feel for it.
Yeah.
Follow the roadmap, use the milestones to personalize your sample session. When you're practicing, print that roadmap out and follow along with it while you're doing your practice sessions. Okay.
Okay.
Most of those steps are like one sentence or pause or that's it, right? Get comfortable. Hi, it's nice to meet you. How are you? How did you hear about me? What do you think of the weather? Settling into a coffee meeting with somebody that you've never met before, that kind of conversation. Don't let it go on too long though, because they know that they're there to find out about coaching, and they'll start to get like, well, so when are we going to talk about it? So you listen to I don't know if you guys use the same term, but I use the level 3, the feeling of the space.
Yeah. Yeah.
To understand their challenges and understand where they might go, I use the wheel of life to give them a perspective. Are you familiar with it from the life coaching standpoint? Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
So, but the difference is I use the wheel of life so they rate their life, and then I don't coach them on a piece. I help them to see how that's a bird's eye view of their life and how the different places are all connected. And then if that problem was solved, can you imagine what your wheel of life would look like? So that's what the next few slides are about. So got a printable for you. You can use it for your coaching sessions.
Okay.
If I don't do a sample session with somebody, I will often do this in the first coaching session. Some people come to me with no sample session. They just, there they are. And
Mhm.
now we're coaching. Here's a sample of what one might look like. And so my questions sound like, so, maybe I know that they're having a challenge in their finances. And I'll say, so what's it like living a life where this is the wheel that is driving the car of your life? We have a discussion about how bumpy their life is, for example. And then say, do you notice how if your finances was better, what other areas of your life were affected by this? Well, oftentimes it will be, well, if my finances were better, I'd be happier in my career because I'd have a new job. I'd have more money for fun and recreation, and I'd have more time to go out with my friends. So they can see how changing the finances affects these other areas as well. Okay. And that helps them to not just see the problem and imagine the solution. They realize that the solution is much bigger than maybe they at first thought.
Yeah.
Maybe they just wanted to get out of debt, but they didn't realize that, my God, now I'd be able to have fun again. Or, like I'd actually move into a career that I love. Oh my God, this is actually a bigger deal than I thought. And that's powerful stuff. And even if they don't sign up with you, that's important for them to realize how one thing in their life can have such an impact on so many things in their life, right?
So when you do this over, say for example, you do it over the phone, or you're just doing video chat, do you send them something ahead of time so they could work through it, or do you just get them to draw it themselves?
I've done it both ways.
Does it matter?
I've done it both ways. Yeah. So it doesn't matter, but you can certainly send them the PDF if you want, or you can just talk them through it.
Okay.
So that really starts to increase the tension of how coaching could really help me. Dig a little bit deeper. So we're on step 3. We're really 3 and 4 and 5. What is that bigger ramification of having that one thing? What would it be like if that problem was solved? What would it be like if you got out of debt? And help them paint that picture, that imagine, what would your life be like? How would you feel? What would you do that's different? So all about, you can understand the problem deeper. You've really heard them as well. And sometimes just them actually saying it really helps. Getting it out of their head and out of their mouth. So now number 5 is actually just an acknowledgement that you've already done it. You've shown them where they are, where they could be. Nothing to it. It's just there. You've already created it. So your solution, that's your coaching package. If this sounds interesting, here's how we could work together. I have a 6-session package. Just grab your premium package, where we meet once a week for an hour each time. It's totally confidential. And it's totally focused on you and what you're trying to achieve. Blah, 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 blah. How does that sound? And then just be quiet. Don't say anything.
Yeah.
Let them think. Have a conversation about any questions or concerns they raise. Same tone, helpful, open tone. And then if you do feel that they are a good fit, you can say, so what do you think? Would you like to start? When would you like to begin? And now they get to choose. And any choice they make is good.
Yeah.
Right? Especially for the people that are not yets, because the not yets often become yeses, especially when you keep in touch. And they know that you're not just gonna, you're actually really interested in working with them, right? So you're building the relationship. So what I do suggest is that you brainstorm this list of what kinds of questions might people have. Do you have a payment plan? Do you take Visa? How far in advance are you booking? What if it doesn't work? You know, what if I don't
Mhm.
like it partway through? You know, so
Mhm.
brainstorm a huge list of things that they may say when they say no or not yet,
Yeah.
right? And then
Mhm.
figure out how you're going to respond to those.
Mhm.
Now, the next piece is if they say, interesting, but I need more time, this is what you do. You say, oh, okay, when should I follow up with you? And they'll say,
Mhm.
call me in 2 weeks. And then you do that. That's it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? Then you
It's
just do
not
that.
more complicated than that. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
People say, how will I know? How will I know? How will I know? Well, you ask them. Send me a text in a couple of weeks. Fine, then do it.
Mhm.
Right? And the way to do it is you put it in your calendar. Going to follow up with Rachel in 2 weeks.
Mhm.
All right. So practice, practice, practice.
Mhm.
Any questions at this point? We're just about done.
Um, no, I think the one thing I'm interested is you talked about, if they like if they want to stop in the middle, do you have a
Hmm.
policy around that if they want to, for whatever reason, want to stop in the middle of their package or
You
I'm
mean
not sure
like
if that,
quit and get the rest of
yeah,
your money back?
yeah.
I'll tell you, I have a no refund policy.
Okay.
Um, that being said, I did once have a guy, and it was actually coaching around relationships.
Mm,
He was 2/3 of the way through his package and he said, this is really not working for me. He sent me an email. I said,
mhm,
this isn't working for me. And I thought about it and I thought about it. And he knew that I had a no refund policy. And
mhm,
I thought, you know what? In integrity, I wasn't all in, you know?
mm,
I
yeah.
knew that it after a couple of sessions that it wasn't quite right. And I thought, I don't feel right hanging on to this guy's money. I would
Mhm,
rather give him a referral to somebody else who's a real relationship coach and give him his money back. So I did.
mhm.
But he knew that I had a no refund policy. And in my
Okay.
response to him, I said, as you know, I have a no refund policy. However, I have considered and I will refund you, whatever the remaining part of his package.
Yeah.
It's your choice though.
Mhm,
I'll tell you there's kind of this thing about the I don't know, it's kind of like the dynamic of a coaching relationship.
mhm.
So before somebody starts coaching, they're super excited, going to be miraculous, they're going to solve their problems, the world is going to turn the right direction now. And then just before their coaching call with you, they get freaked out because what if it doesn't work? What if I'm broken? What if I can't ever have that life that I would like to have? I don't even know what that life might look like. I just know I'm unhappy. And then they start to get a little bit of traction. And usually around, everybody's a little bit different. But for me, I see a lot of clients around 3 sessions. They have started to make some progress. They're starting to feel a little bit better. And then they're realizing that to make changes, they've got to think about things differently. And that's hard. They got to do things, they got to practice. And that's hard. And maybe they have
Mhm,
an accountability and then they don't do it because they're kind of scared. And then
mhm,
they don't really, oh, you know what? I have to delay this fourth coaching call.
mhm.
I oh, I just can't do it this week. And they may delay it a couple of times because now they're scared. They're scared because they realize that the only way it's going to happen is with conscious awareness and practicing. And I think it's a disservice to them to say, oh, yeah, you could get your money back at any time because
Yeah.
they have signed up for growth, right? Now, if somebody comes around like this guy that I had and says, you know
Mhm.
what, I just can't do this on a case by case basis. I'm not going to hold on to somebody's money for no good reason.
Yeah, yeah.
Or, but if I know that it's just that they're scared, we can have a conversation about that. Oh boy, I can see that you're having a challenging time. I know that, like there's, you deal with so many people who want to quit their job and now they're actually, everything's in place and they can quit. And they're like, oh my God, but I don't know if I can do that. Right. And I want to still talk to them because I want them to know that just because they've said it, maybe said it in a conversation, maybe committed to it at that time, doesn't mean that everything doesn't go like A, B, C, D, E, F, G,
Yeah.
right? It's okay to get to D and then go, oh my God, I'm a little bit scared. And to kind of hang around D for a little while and maybe even go back to C. And then when you kind of feel like you got your feet again, now you can start to move forward, but maybe a little bit more slowly now, and that's the reality of growth. And so I would way rather say no refunds. And then when they get scared, have another conversation with them and remind them that in my original coaching conversation that they would be times that they got homework and they didn't do it. And that I wanted them to feel comfortable to still show up, that I'm not there to judge them. Right? So when you're having your initial coaching calls with your folks, tell them that. And then when it starts to happen, or they come to the whatever call and say, well, I did this, but I didn't do that. I say, hey, remember when we first started talking? I told you that occasionally that was going to happen. It's normal. That's the way people are.
Yeah.
What do you think happened? And just use that as their learning opportunity. Give them a chance to re-engage on that if they choose to, or if they realize that it's just too scary, I can't do that. Fine. Fine. They're going to grow at their own pace. So that's a whole bunch of discussion around refund policy, but that's kind of my whole mindset behind it.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Okay. And so here's what I would like you to do. There will be a little PDF workbook. It's going to have those 9 steps, place for you to kind of brainstorm the questions, objections people might have so you can work through it. Wheel of Life template. You can use it if you choose. If you don't, that's cool too. I've actually got 2. I've got a blank one and one that has the areas filled in. I'll give you both because it's easier that way, right? Sometimes you may have somebody who just does the Wheel of Life around business or a Wheel of Life around their career, and that's really all they want to deal with, or a Wheel of Life around health. Next time, come and do a sample session with me. Okay. Yeah. And I will bring, I'll be the client for you. The more practice you get, the more comfortable you're going to feel when you're sitting across the table at Starbucks from that person.
Yeah.
And it's better that you work out your heebie-jeebies, here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good. Okay.
Perfect. Really good.
Any questions?
No, I think that's good. If I have any, I'll just email. But no, I think it's a really good start with the sample sessions. That was good.
Excellent.
I'm excited to get going on them. So
yeah, I'm excited. One day you're going to send me an email in the not too distant future. Guess what? I've got a coaching client, right?
Yeah, very excited. Yeah. No, it's really good.
Have a great week. I think we will be back on track next week.
Okay.
I've got a bunch of stuff. I've actually got kind of all this stuff is sort of written and recorded for my other class that I'm doing. But I like to use, I hate to say this to you, but you as the guinea pig. Because, like, if I hadn't sat and really thought about where exactly were you in your journey, and then I realized, well, wait a minute, what was on the schedule doesn't serve you. So that's the only time that I'll change it, is if I realize, how does that help you, right? So
yeah, no, it's really helpful doing this now. So
good. Okay.
Yeah, perfect timing.
I will chat with you next time.
All right, sounds good. Have a great week.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.